Some people cannot sit still. Not a little fidgety, actually cannot. The leg bounces under the desk without being told to. The pen clicks on its own. Mid-meeting, they're up, pacing by the window. Phone calls happen on their feet, walking a tight loop around the kitchen. Even a 2-hour flight means standing to stretch every 20 minutes, whether they meant to or not. And here's the part most people get wrong about it. It's not nerves, and it's not a lack of discipline. Some brains are built to need motion, and for those brains, sitting still isn't calming. It's the opposite. We're not here to tell you it's anxiety. We're not here to tell you to relax. We're here to explain what's actually happening in your brain every time your knee starts moving without your permission. So what's actually going on? There are 4 separate reasons, and once you know them, you'll never look at a leg bouncer the same way again. Reason 1 is dopamine. Small, repetitive movement, tapping a foot, clicking a pen, triggers a real release of dopamine, the brain chemical tied to alertness and reward. Some researchers argue that for people whose dopamine baseline runs lower, sitting still isn't relaxing at all. It's understimulating. This is part of why the connection between fidgeting and attention gets studied so heavily in ADHD research, though it isn't limited to any one diagnosis. The brain doesn't read stillness as calm. It reads it as boredom, and bored brains go looking for input. The fidgeting is the nervous system quietly topping itself back up. Think about the last time you sat through a slow meeting versus a tense one. The tense one probably didn't need a fidget to hold your attention because the stakes themselves supplied the dopamine hit. It's the boring, low-stakes stretches where the tapping shows up, because that's exactly when the brain's natural reward supply runs lowest. The same pattern shows up in classrooms, where students who tap a pencil or shift in their seat during a slow lecture often retain more of the material than students told to keep their hands folded and completely still. That's backed up by research on attention and movement. People who are allowed to move while working actually show better focus and recall than people forced to sit rigidly still. The movement isn't competing with the task, it's fueling it. Reason 2 goes back a lot further than any office chair. For most of human history, sitting motionless for long stretches was never the default. Early humans spent their waking hours scanning, moving, adjusting position, watching for threats, tracking resources, staying alert to a constantly changing environment. The body evolved to treat prolonged stillness as slightly suspicious, not restful. An hour of total stillness under fluorescent lights, at a desk, in a chair designed for looking busy rather than moving freely, is biologically a very recent and very unnatural demand. Some nervous systems simply never got the memo that stillness was supposed to become normal. Reason 3 is what psychologists call sensory-seeking temperament. Some people need more sensory input than others just to feel like they've reached a comfortable baseline. It's not only movement either. The same trait shows up as needing louder music, spicier food, or crunchier snacks to register as satisfying. It's a similar idea to the Yerkes-Dodson law, which describes how performance and comfort track a personal, just right level of stimulation, not too much and not too little. For a sensory-seeking brain, too little input doesn't feel peaceful. It feels flat. Movement fills that gap. Reason 4 is the one almost nobody connects to fidgeting. Cognitive load. Pacing through a hard phone call. Doodling through a lecture. Tapping a pen while you think something through. None of that is a distraction from the thinking. For a lot of people, it's what makes the thinking possible in the first place. Researchers at Stanford found that walking measurably boosted creative output compared to sitting still. Other work on divided attention suggests a second, low-effort task, like a repetitive motion, can occupy just enough spare mental bandwidth to stop it from wandering off and derailing the main task. The body isn't stealing focus from the brain. It's carrying part of the load so the rest of the brain is free to concentrate. Quick gut check. If you're already tapping a pen, bouncing a foot, or scrolling absent-mindedly right now, drop which one of these four sounds most like you. You're not the only one reading this with a moving hand. Here's the part that's genuinely counterintuitive, though. Take the movement away, force the stillness, and focus doesn't improve, it collapses. Sit a natural fidgeter perfectly still, and their attention doesn't sharpen. It falls apart faster than if you just let them move in the first place. It's the same reason a fidget spinner genuinely helps some students concentrate, why standing desks outperform assigned seating for some employees, and why someone thinks more clearly pacing the hallway during a call than frozen at their desk. The movement was never competing with focus. Taking it away is what breaks the focus. So if you've ever been told to just sit still and concentrate, and the stillness itself made concentrating harder, that was never a willpower problem. That was your nervous system telling you exactly what it needed in a room that had no interest in listening. Restlessness isn't a deficit to train out or medicate into submission by default. For a lot of people, it's an active regulation strategy. The body managing arousal and attention in real time, doing the same job someone else does by breathing slowly or sitting in silence. It just looks louder from the outside, and it gets mistaken for a problem simply because most rooms are built for people who regulate quietly. That's not a flaw, that's a different operating system. If you've spent years apologizing for the leg bounce, the pacing, the need to stand up mid-conversation, you're not broken, and you're not rude. You're running on a nervous system that processes the world through motion instead of stillness. Both get you to calm. One's just quieter than the other. If this explains something about you, or about the one person you know who can't sit through a movie without getting up twice, hit subscribe. We're building a whole library of "you were never the problem" explainers. Next up, why some people feel guilty the second they try to relax. Same nervous system, different symptom, same reframe.